Hello, everyone. I'm just making sure that everybody can hear me. If I can get like a thumbs up or a comment, that would be helpful. We'll wait for a few more minutes for other people to join. And I like how the chat is going. So if everyone wants to sort of share um, where they are from and what they're excited about for this course, that would be great. Ethiopia, Kenya, Qatar, Ghana, Nairobi, amazing, Lebanon, Canada. It's officially a time, but let's wait 1 or 2 more minutes so we have more people who are joining in, and then we can officially start. South Africa, Saudi Arabia, welcome everybody. Kenya, Botswana, Ethiopia. Awesome. You're also welcome to share what you're excited about for this course. So then we have like a little bit of understanding around that as well. Like, what were your motivations to join the course? We'll wait a few more seconds, like maybe like 30 more seconds, and then we'll officially start. Oh, we have some from Washington. Welcome. Uganda, Ethiopia. Great to see everybody. I see the people who are joining, the number is increasing, so I'm just making sure that everybody who wanted to be part of this can get in and don't miss out on any information for the course overview because it's important to have like an understanding what you are sort of getting into. So let's wait for a few more seconds. When I see the number is kind of like stabilized, then I'll just start. Alrighty. So I see the number is a little bit stabilizing, so let's start. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, um, everyone, wherever you are joining from. We are excited that you have chosen to enroll in HP Cambridge Partnership for Education EdTech Leadership course. This course will take you through the core concepts of design thinking in an applied way. And this session we wanted it to be a live session, so you can learn about like the overview of what this course is about, what is expected, what are the core components of this course, and also if you have any questions around that. So just a little bit of housekeeping. We have live chat for you to ask your questions, and we have our moderators from our team who can respond to those problems of like your questions and if there is like any issue around like joining the chat or so we have our email still working on edtech uh, on the support tech support at um, edtechfellowship.org. And if you have any questions on content, I would recommend that you can save some of the questions for later. Once I'm done, I can answer those together. But if there is like an urgent question that you see on a slide and you want to ask, please feel free to ask that, and the moderators from our team will respond in that chat. And with that, let's jump right in. So just to give you an idea of people who are excited to join this course, we got around 800 applications from 60 countries. And on the screen, you can see the kind of diversity that we have in this course, that people who wanted to join. And it's like we have a lot of people from Southern Africa and Asia and Europe, and some from America, Russia, and like those places as well. And the people who applied like some of their like titles of their job that they shared with us during the application process were advisors to the Ministry of Education, some were teachers, director of school inspection, um, head teachers, founder of EdTech companies, EdTech lead for international NGOs, researchers at international NGOs, and university EdTech lecturers. So those were sort of like we saw like a pattern of people who were applying. Those were their titles. So those were the titles that we applied, but what was our intention? Like what is this course sort of designed for? So primarily for working professionals in the education sector who work on design and implementation of education interventions. So this course is sort of applied course where it's not like academic course. It's a course where you would learn these skills that you can apply right at the job where you're at. And our intention is that the people who are going to take this course have two characteristics that they possess that they can maximize on the learning from this course. One is you are in a position where you are working in an educational setting where you have a problem that you're trying to solve. So something that you have been uh, trying to solve for a while, or something that you have observed and you haven't really given a thought about it. If you have some funding available or access where you can actually implement something and see how that results into. So as the start of the course, I said this is a design thinking course where we will equip you with biggest thing um, that are that you should be thinking about is um, can, uh, can you see my slides? I One of my team members said that they can't see my slides. Please let me know in the chat if you can still see or if there's anything that is missing. Um, okay, let me try to share that again. Is that better? Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know, everybody. So, as I was saying, so there are two characteristics that are important for our learners to acquire knowledge from this course. As I said, it's not an academic course, it's an applied sort of like a empirical course where you can take the knowledge and then actually apply it to your context. And so if you have a problem that you have been trying to solve, or a problem that has been bothering you and you want to like see if that can be solved, and then if you have access to actually solve it, you have either you are in a position to actually implement something, or you have some funding that you can use to make design a prototype, or sort of design a solution for that problem. The course content is in English, and the course is fully online. And since it's an online course, it would be helpful if you have access to a computer and internet. This is a synchronous session that we are having right now, just to give you an overview, and the recording of this session will be provided to your LMS. So you can have access to it in case you are not available right now, or there is some internet disruption and you can't stream it. But other than that, most of the content is will be asynchronous. It will be available to you on the LMS, and you will be going through it on your own. And I'll talk about it a little bit more of how the course is structured. And then we will have office hours that will be online, and the platform will be most probably Google Meet. But if we have a lot more people who want to join that office hours, then we might switch back to YouTube Live as well. So the biggest learning objective that we have is this course is designed to apply different components of design thinking to a real world education problem, beginning with the development of a problem statement to an actual testing of a prototype solution. So if you are familiar with the design thinking sort of process, the way design thinking sort of became famous in the research world as well as the implementation world is it helps you solve quote unquote messy problems, right? The problems that don't have a straightforward answer, the problems that have like so many different layers to it, the problems that you cannot start like in a linear fashion. You look at the problem, design a solution, implement the solution, and that's it. You achieve your goal. These problems are a little bit more complicated in that there are nuances around those around the issue that you're trying to solve. And that is why what you do is you take that problem, you understand it, you sort of go to the people who are actually having that problem that you're trying to solve, and you get their feedback on it, and you really spend some time understanding what the problem is, and then you design solution based on the data that you have collected. And we will talk more about what that process looks like. But the idea is to sort of start the journey from understanding a problem, developing some empathy and understanding of your users, and then um, designing an actual prototype, and then testing it with those users to see if that the solution that you have created after spending so much time understanding the problem, does it work, or does it need more like feedback and tweaking. And then the next phase is actually implementing. And then once you implement that solution, then how do you scale it up? And the sort of like the leadership and sort of politics and all those like economic situations, all of those things, how they go with when you scale up. And that would be the adaptive leadership part. So we'll talk about that as well. So by the end of this course, you will be able to use the steps of design thinking to solve complex challenges in your day-to-day roles. So you don't have to be a CEO or the Minister of Education. You could have some power and some like access as well as some funding that you can use to create a solution. For this course, you can also just design the solution and then create a prototype. And prototype doesn't mean it has to be, thousands of dollars invested into that prototype. It could be a paper-based prototype. It could be a web page-based prototype. So it doesn't have to be a very complex formula. The idea is to actually go through the process, learn the techniques and tools, and then apply it to your context and actually come up with a product. Doesn't have to be a complex product, right? And then once you have that product, then you can use that to either look for funding, or if you already have funding, that's great. You just sort of like implement that prototype right away, and you just go from there. And if you have access and funding, then you can also scale it up, and we will talk about that, how to go about it in those modules. So a little bit around the format of the course. So as I said earlier, this course is an online course. The mode of communication and the language of the course itself is English, and it's an asynchronous course with synchronous elements to provide that support. So there are a couple of synchronous elements. Some are instructor-led, which me and my co-instructor Chris will be leading, and some are peer-led, which you all will be leading for each other, and we will talk about that. How would that work? So the course itself constitutes of 7 modules. Each module will be sort of released over the LMS in 2 weeks of intervals. So you will have enough time to engage with the content and also attend the office hours if you have any questions around. And then you will also have time to finish the tasks that are associated with that. And we will get more in detail about what those tasks are. And then you will have most of the modules in that will also have learning circle sort of activities, where you will be put together in small groups, which would be like a peer sort of community of practice group, where you will engage with that content together, and it could be face to face if you choose to. It is totally peer led. It is your choice how do you choose to engage. We will just sort of put you together in that group based on your geography and those elements that give us information around what would be easy for you to manage that group. And you can also do it online, so that would be up to you. We will have the sections in the LMS where you will have space to sort of discuss what would be the best way to communicate and work together across those modules, which are released over 2 weeks each. And the expectation of work is around 4 hours a week, which does sound a lot, but it also we also kept in mind that English as second language learners. So like there is, if you're fast in reading, you might not take that much time. If you understand the content and you can directly just jump in and try to do those tasks that are associated, worksheets and templates and all those things, then it might be shorter. Or if a template is easy for you to understand, you already have a defined problem, you can start working on it. That might reduce that a little bit, but this is the max that we are expecting. So 4 hours a week, so one module is released over 2 weeks, so all in all 8 hours, and that also includes the office hour time as well as the learning circle time. So that would be like holistically, like any kind of engagement that you do with the course, you will have that time like included in that. And each module contains different content, tasks, and opportunities for feedback. So there is sort of like instructor-led feedback opportunities, but also more of a peer-led feedback opportunities, which we will look into more how that would work. So as I mentioned, the learning circles, the way they will be designed, we will send you the people who have signed up already on the LMS and has done the pre-course survey. So please, anybody who has already signed up, please go ahead and log into your LMS. And if you have any issue, you can reach out to tech support at um, edtechfellowship.org. and this information, this email address is communicated to you in your emails as well. So you can, refer back to that email. There was an email sent out earlier today just to, give you a reminder of this course as well. So you can refer to that email for the exact like wording and how it's written, the email address. So you can reach out if you are having any kind of technical issue in accessing the LMS. And if you have any question around content, you can email at support at edtechfellowship.org, and then we can take that request from there and work with you one-on-one to resolve that. So please log into your LMS account, and then the first section that starts that on there, and let me see if I can just share that real quick. So when you log into your LMS, this would be the first. Let me make sure that it's zoomed in enough. So when you log in, this would be the first thing, entrance survey. Please fill that out. So once you fill that out, you will have access. You won't have access to the course materials until you finish that. And the reason we try our best to like ensure that you fill it out, because that will help us understand our learners. So we can design our content better, as well as put you in the right learning circles. So you can collaborate with like-minded people and the people who are working in a similar context and similar problems. So please make sure that you fill out the pre-course survey. And once you fill that out, you will have access to the discussion forums where there's, you can introduce yourself to each other. Announcements is where we will put our announcements um, like every week we will have some announcement. We will try to send it out via email, and also put it here in case you miss an email. You can just log in and look into the discussion forum for that. And if you have any questions, you can always reply, not reply on the email, because that email is sent to the sort of like the mailing list of all the learners. You can email at support@edtechfellowship.org, or you can also, once we have announcement posted on in your discussion forum, you can also reply under, and we can take your request from there. And frequently asked questions is where you can ask any questions that you have around the course or in logistics, and other fellows can respond to those questions if the fellow, other like participants in the course like know that answer, or if not, then we also like keep an eye on that forum and respond to. I responded to a few of the questions that were there, I think on Friday. And after that, you will have access to the course orientation materials, where you have the syllabus, and in the syllabus you will have uh, access to it. So once you access the syllabus, you will have a more detailed understanding of what this course is about. You will have prerequisites, which is not as long as you're working in a educational setting. And you have a problem, as I said earlier, the learning objectives, the schedule, when the modules will be released, the office hours. So right now we have sort of put 3 office hours already scheduled in the calendar, and you can access the calendar on your in your course as well. And they are in UTC time. And if we need to like adjust the time itself, or the time zone, depending on the users, we will announce the rest of them based on that, on the user engagement and all those things. And you also can see like the sort of like the detailed breakdown of how the modules are sort of um, divided. The content around design thinking is divided, and what are the activities around that. So in module 1, you can see we have a little bit of videos and slides, a reflective prompt, design thinking templates, example problems, and workout, problem statement worksheets, peer problems, peer review sort of uh, processes that are there for you to like give feedback to each other once you fill these templates out. And also knowledge checks. So based on the knowledge that you learn, like you gain from the module 1, you will go through it. And this is not supposed to be punitive, or like or like keeping access of knowledge from you guys. The knowledge checks are there for you to sort of reflect on if there is on the main topics of the modules. And if you don't get them right the first time, you can always try again. There is no like restriction there. It is best for you to sort of go back and learn and reflect and make sure that if there is a point that got missed in the module, you can go back and sort of learn that. So sort of coming back to the presentation. Um, so learning circles will be these spaces that we will, put you guys in, where you can collaborate with each other on activities. There will be activities that will be expected that you do individually, and there will be activities that are expected to be done in a collaborative manner, and they are mentioned as such in the contents of the course under each module. So how does the typical week look like, right? Uh, uh, a learning, there's a question that says, do you receive a new link to each module, or do we use the same link shared uh, our email? So the modules are actually already, so let me go back real quick. So the modules are already built into your LMS, as you can see on my screen. So the modules are already there, and they all have the content already placed there. So as you can see, like introduction to design thinking, the knowledge check is already there, the templates are already there. So you are not like accessing different links. But for office hours, we will set it up in the modules that you can access, and that link will probably be refreshed, or or it would be the same link, sort of like a um, recurring meeting, and all of that will be synced to you on the calendar. So in the calendar right now, I'm in the sort of developer mode, so it doesn't like show up right away, but in the calendar you can see the office hour was already sort of built in. So these office hour, like when you click on the invite, or on the event that is already on the calendar, that will have the link already placed there. But you will get updates every week. So if there is anything change in the link, or if there is any change in the time zone, or any of that, that will be communicated to you over the email, and then will be update of that, basically a copy of that email that we will share on the announcement section in the discussion forum as well. So just you have so you have the access to it. So moving back to the presentation, that was a good question, by the way. I appreciate that. So how does a typical 2-week module look like? So all modules are, they're covering different topics, so they require a little bit of different sort of like elements to learning and absorbing the content, right? But on average, um, every module have a learning outcome that is mentioned in the content. There's a warm-up reflection activity. So you have you have given a prompt to sort of reflect on your own context and think about how that particular topic that you're about to learn sort of relates to your problem and your role in solving that problem. And then there will be some content presented through text, audio, and video. So there are sort of presentations made that have like audio prompts and video prompts sort of built into that course. Uh, so then those learning modules are sort of like self-contained modules. So they are like self-guided, self-paced, in that manner. You still have that bound of 2 weeks. You can always go back and, review and, fill the gaps of your knowledge if you have to. But those are the content sort of modules that have audio, video sort of resources like provided together in like one sort of a presentation. And then once you go through it, you will have a knowledge check to sort of see and reflect like how much of that you understood, or if there's anything missed. If you like don't answer a question right in the knowledge check, you can always go back to the presentation and see like where was the gap in the knowledge. And then most of the courses also have a foreign activity where you will share your learning, and there are different prompts there are different like reflective activities there that you will share on the forums, and that is where you will give feedback as well. So in the first module, as when I was on the LMS, if you have seen that there was like templates or worksheets, you will work on those worksheets collaboratively or individually, depending on the worksheet itself. Um, you will post that on the forum, and then you will review other peers work on at the same time. So but what you're basically doing is you're sharing your work with your peers, and you are giving feedback to your peers on their work. So that way you are learning by looking at other people's work, and also you are sharing your work for other people to learn from. So that would be the forum activity. The learning circle activity is a little bit different, where you actually collaboratively work in a synchronous session, and that is sort of like led by the learners. So once you are put in those on those learning circles, and that information will be communicated to you via email. The people who will be in one learning circle will receive an email with the contact details of other peers that are um, in that learning circle. And then you can decide to, you will have those 2 weeks, so you can go through that content. You can, it's like a sort of like a self identified deadlines within that circle. You can say we are meeting, on a Friday or on a Saturday or whenever, depending on the availability of the all the members. And we have those forums built in for you to, like, sort of communicate any ideas that you want. You can also do it offline, through your emails once you're put in that circle. And then you can decide to meet online, using Google Meet or Zoom or any online platform. Or you can, if you are in a close proximity, you want to, meet, in person to work together. That's an option, they're available for you as well. And once you are done with that, you will go back and fill out those templates, work on them, or worksheets, and then post them for feedback. So those are like the basic, like, major 8 elements that are there. And these worksheets and templates that you will fill out, they will sort of like contribute to your learning portfolio. And that we will talk about, like, how all this sort of effort that you will put in on each module, how it will come together at the at the end of the course. So in these slides, I'm just gonna sort of like slightly touch on, like, what those topics look like. So the first module is Introduction to Design Thinking. To sort of like, if you already know what design thinking is, it's great. It's a good start for you, because even if you know what design thinking is, sort of like looking at design thinking in education is a little bit different. So how do we look at design thinking in education, and then another layer of it at design thinking in ed tech, sort of like, sphere, and then ed tech in in a developing context. So all those things sort of like combine together. We will talk about introducing design thinking in a ed tech environment or developing context. So how you should sort of frame that. So we will talk about that. In the module 2, we will sort of look at the understanding of stakeholders. That is one of the biggest things that I would like for you to um, spend some time and understand, because a lot of times we are trying to um, solve our problem, but what we sort of miss out is, in within that module 2, what you'll be doing is you will trying to identify the problem, as well as identifying who that problem is, significant to. So an attendance problem might be very significant to a teacher, but might not very significant to a headmaster, let's say, right? So who is going to be affected by, or a parent, or a student itself, right? So those are different sort of stakeholders that are part of this um, educational sort of sphere, right? And then once you understand what problem I'm trying to solve, and who does this problem affects the most, it will help you understand, like, how to get to that solution. Because, as I said, these problems are not easy. We have multiple stakeholders, we have multiple layers of issues that come with a single problem, right? So how do we break, like, sort of like take those layers off, and break that problem down into a chunk that you can actually solve, and then sort of expand on that. So this module will deal with sort of identifying your problem, and also identifying your stakeholders, and the stakeholders throughout the sphere that you are dealing with, and the one that you're targeting to support and, find a solution for. And then module 3 will be ideation. So once you have your problem statement understood, and your stakeholders sort of identified, then you will move on to actually brainstorming and looking at how do I, find number of solutions to this. And once you have a number of solutions sort of identified, what would be the best solution to solve that? So module three will sort of like focus on that part. And once you are done with, like, sort of brainstorming, and the learning circles would be a great place for that. And you will also engage with your actual users or stakeholders to sort of get their ideas around, and then kind of co-create the solution. If you choose to, you will have that flexibility. And then once you have those sort of ideas that would best solve that solution, you will, in module 4, you will actually try to prototype that and create those in a minimal way, not like in a very high techy. You don't need a team to create those solutions. Those solutions will be simpler, manageable, and something that you can do in your capacity, just to get an understanding of why, like, sort of like the look and feel of that solution. So once you create your prototype, you will actually go out and test it, and you will get that support and understanding around how do you test a prototype, what are the methods of, like, getting that feedback on your prototype from your users, and then how do you incorporate that feedback to sort of reiterate and make your solution better. So once you have a working prototype that you have tested in the field and sort of gotten some feedback on, then we will look at, like, how a solution that seems to work in that context that you have gone through this whole process through, can actually be scaled, and what are the challenges that come when it comes to scaling solutions, because that is one of the biggest things that unfortunately a lot of people get funding to create prototypes, pilots, and then they sort of die, right? Like, because we didn't think about how are we going to scale it up. So when you look at the sort of at scale implementation of that solution, it doesn't become feasible after that. It's only feasible in, like, a pilot, like a prototype, sort of in that phase. But after that, it kind of, the solution started breaking down. So we will try to incorporate that throughout and make sure that our uh, what are the things that what are the sort of considerations you have to keep in mind. And then once you have that understanding, you will also look at the adaptive leadership of that. So these solutions require a lot of support and a lot of buy-in from other departments, from other stakeholders that are not, like, directly related to the stakeholders that you are trying to solve the problem for. And what are the cultural, or political or economic nuances around that. So we will look at how to address those when you're trying to, like, implement something and sort of bring that change in the context that you are actually there. And then once we are done with all those modules, all the work that you'll do over time, we will have capstone presentations. And in those presentations, you will record a presentation, and you'll be provided a format where you will sort of, like, have us go through the journey with you and tell us, like, what you learned and what you sort of saw in your context, and how do you envision using this knowledge for actual implementation, because this is sort of like accelerated way of, like, getting to that point, but you might need more time to actually implement. So you will share those plans with us and all those things. And that will also be like a peer reviewed activity where you will make those presentations, record them, share it on the forum, and other peers will review that and give feedback, and we will give it feedback on selected, presentations. There are also, like, paid upgrades to this course. This course is a free course, so this all the things that I said up till now are included for in just you signing up. But if you would want like more like expert feedback on the worksheets or on your overall presentations, that would be like a paid option. And that is around, I believe, £100 that you can, and that we will reach out to you and, sort of share this interest form to see who is interested in getting that support and feedback. And then anybody who signs up there will get more details around how to get that paid upgrade for the course. So if the feedback is important, you are actually in the space where you have the access and you have the funds and you actually want to implement and you need that support where, if your ideas are there, it needs to be just, improved a little bit. We are here to support that, and that will be communicated to you. But all learners regardless will receive a certificate upon completion. And that depends on basically you doing the knowledge checks. Those are huge. Once you are done with the content, you should do the knowledge check to make sure that you understood the material that we're trying to sort of engage you in. And then try your best to do the templates and worksheets, because those are the ones where you're actually implementing. Um, you're actually sort of taking that, in a way, theoretical knowledge from that presentation or that material that is shared with you, and actually putting it in your context and applying that knowledge, and then get the feedback from your learning circles, from your peers, throughout the course, and collaborate with them, and use that knowledge. So those are the sort of like the ways that we are trying to have you implement and learn. Again, this course is not about like making you feel some type of way of like oh, you don't know this or you don't know that, or like assessment as part of like making you feel like what you don't know. The assessment, this is like a formative assessment built into each module. It is just there for you to sort of help you understand which parts are you clear on in the concept, and which parts you need a little bit revision and going back to. So that is the only reason those assessments are there. But once you go through it, you will get the certificate regardless. So I think I am pretty much done sort of like setting out the course and what you should expect. um, any questions, concerns in that regard, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I will request my team to also, if there are any questions that they can highlight if I have missed or they weren't able to respond. Please feel free to share it with me, and um, I will answer those, and I will also sort of skim through the chat to see if there are um, any questions that I can answer while we are live. So if you have asked a question and you haven't gotten an answer yet, or it got sort of like got missed in the chat, please feel free to post it right now, because now that I'm done with the presentation, I can focus on the chat and give you more detail. Yes. So the LMS access, you should have received email, sort of like a login email with your temporary login and password, and then you can reset your password, right? If you can't find it in your mailbox right now, it would be great if you can send an email to um, can one of the tech support people write the tech support email address in the chat? So I'll also put that up here. Let me share my screen one more time so you have it right in front of you. So within the course support, we have these two email addresses that we are going to we will use throughout the course. So if anybody didn't, is on the live stream right now, but they didn't receive, they're having trouble logging in, or figuring out where the email went. If you didn't receive it or it went into spam email. A lot of people have signed up with their work emails, and work emails usually have certain level of security around, so it moves it to quarantine the email, or it put it in the spam folder or junk folder, so you might have missed it. So on the screen, if you can see, there is a tech support, tech-support at edtechfellowship.org. Please drop an email with the email that you used to sign up for. So our tech team can help you. They can reset your login, and then it will auto generate a new invitation for you, and you can join the course. And this recording will be made available on the LMS. So if you have missed it, or if you have joined the LMS, I've seen somebody said that they have joined like sort of like the middle or the end of the live session. they are the recording will be made available on the um, LMS. You can see that the Module Zero live session. We will add that recording in that section, and then you can access it and go through it again. And you're also welcome to join office hours. So if any information that is not clear in this sort of online session or throughout the modules, you can always you could reach out if you have any questions. If you want like a live support, office hour is the best part. If not, then you can always reach out to the support at EdTech Fellowship, and we can figure out something from there as well. So there's a question around, are the design thinking processes, ideating, prototyping, and testing to be done in group or personally, including the capstone project? So the discussion and understanding around is collaborative, right? Because we want you to get feedback from each other. So if, for example, one person was really good in understanding one aspect of the module, and the other person was very good at understanding, like, one worksheet, and the other person was one, let's say, template. We would love for you to like discuss that and talk to each other, but the submission is individual, right? And the reason being, not to make it hard or anything, but um, you are sort of like the expert of your context, and everybody's working in different context. They are trying to deal with different problems. So it would be important for you to sort of personalize that work and really reflect and dig into your context and how you can solve. So someone who is in, even if we take two people from sub-Saharan Africa, right? A person in Nigeria probably have a different problem than an Ethiopian high school teacher, let's say. So if they are, because of how the formatting happens, and they are put together in a group, they can always talk together and say, this is the problem I'm trying to solve, and these are my considerations, and the other person share their sort of approach towards it, and then you can mutually understand each other's point of view and learn from it. But when you're submitting, it would be great if you do your own sort of like reflection and make it more useful for your context, because that is what we are trying to achieve. This is not like a master's course. This is not like something that has an academic value per se. It is very hands-on and very something that we want you to apply and gain something from actually engaging and hands-on implementation of the course, right? So that can only happen when you have that element built in. um, So, are there any office hours personalized in groups, or who will be, or how they will be executed? So we will, like, it would be on Google Meet, so it would be a similar format. It will be offered to everybody, but as we know, like, not everybody sort of shows up for the office hours or don't need that support. So I feel like we will have more time to talk. So in that, right now, because we have so many people joining in, we made it into like a sort of YouTube live. So we can talk to all of you. But in office hour, we will have a little bit more, like, less amount of people. So then we will do it, probably, most probably it will be on Google Meet. And in Google Meet, you can, like, the instructors will be available to you, and you can ask questions. Unmute yourself, ask question. If you want us to like just review something that you have, put it up on the screen, and we can review it together. And other people who are attending, they can also benefit from that. So it wouldn't be one-on-one per se, but it will be a sort of like an online synchronous session that will be available for you to ask questions and get feedback, but in a group setting though. Um, so the learning circle on average, that we are still figuring it out, and that I will again remind everyone that if you can fill out the survey, that is going to determine how many people we have. you can't proceed in the course if you don't do that, because that's how the access is set up. Once you finish the survey, you will have access to the course, like syllabus and outline, all those things. So once you finish that, you will have access to the modules. And once we have all that information, we will use the information. The questions that are being asked in the pre-survey is for us to determine what kind of learning circle would work for this cohort. So that answer, you will get as soon as we are done with sort of like the enrollment part. Any other questions? I'm just scanning through the chat. Okay, so there's a question around if this is the leadership course only, what will be the next step to be a fellow? So if the website that you have used to sign up for this course, which is on Cambridge University Press and Assessment, um, on that website, you have different sections around different fellowship cohorts, like the bigger program. So this program is we are trying to create this program for people who can't afford that, like a bigger, more hands-on, more in-depth experience, which is called the EdTech Fellowship Program. And that program um, is not free. You have to pay for that. You either get a scholarship, from a sponsor, or you can self-sponsor as well, and you can apply for that. That one, the schedule is kind of like different. So we had first cohort of that course that graduated few weeks ago. That was a sub-Saharan Africa cohort. We have another cohort that is starting very soon, which is a South Asia cohort. And the applications and all those details are available online on that website. So you can, go to that website and see when there will be the new cohort for Sub-Saharan Africa will be offered. There's also a Gulf cohort that is sort of running right now, and the new cohort, the first cohort for South Asia will be starting in a couple of months. So all those deadlines are different, depending on the region, depending on the availability, all those things. So you will just have to go back and check how and when, what would be the best cohort for you, and what would be affordable to you, and all those things. And then you can apply accordingly, and then that's a process. Like, all that information is on that website. If anybody, I will put some detail around that if people are interested on the LMS as well, if people are interested in like the fellowship. um, so in terms of there's a question around, like, are we set per module? Yes. So each module has learning circle activities. It has templates that you should fill out based on the information that you will receive in the sort of like the presentation, which is self-contained. It has sort of narrations around the content that is shared with you, and also has built-in videos and things for that, like, goes with that topic. So you go through that, then you do the knowledge check to make sure that you have understood what is being communicated. And if you get a question wrong, no problem, go back, review, come back, and try again. And there is no bound on like how many times you can try. Once you pass that, you should go to the templates. So then, look at the template, see what it is asking you to reflect on, and then fill it out based on the problem and the context you're, trying to solve and work in. And then once you're done, make a draft of it. I would say, like, ideally you would make a draft sort of document of it. And these are living documents, they change over time. So keep working on those. And then you join office hours if you have any questions. go come to an office hour and say this section in the template or in the presentation or wherever, can you elaborate on more? And the instructors will help you in that elaboration and understanding of the content or the template, of your work. And then if you have more, so you get that sort of like a little bit group, in a group, but like a little bit of personalized feedback on that and understanding. And then you go to your learning circle and talk more. For example, if you are the one who attended the office hour and something valuable has been shared in the office hour, you go back to your learning circle and share it with them, and then get their feedback on the same thing as well. So you get one sort of feedback from your instructors if the time permits, right? Because if more people are asking questions and sharing, then it will be less time. But in learning circle, you can spend as much time you want with your peers. So that is where you will be spending a little bit more time, a little bit more personalized feedback from your peers, and then based on that, you will, um, sort of improve upon those templates and on those worksheets. And then before the 2 weeks end, you will post that in a forum per module. So every module will have a forum that will have space for you to like upload those things. And then you will upload your work, and then you will get feedback from your peers. And those peers are across the board, like all, right now we have 900 people who signed up. People who will continue with this course, right? They will all will have access to your materials, and then they can give you feedback. And we will have, community guidelines around that. You have to be respectful. You have to give like sort of like critical feedback that will support the learning and not just criticize the person, right? So that will be there, and then you will get that feedback. So there's a lot of feedback, sort of like, um, instances that we are trying to build in to help support you make it, make this journey very personalized and very like contextual. So then once you get all that feedback, then you can review the final, like you, after the week is done, you see that your work is uploaded and a couple of people commented on it. Then you see those comments, see, which of that feedback you can apply and improve upon that template, and then you like improve upon it and then save it for yourself, because this problem is your problem, right? There's you like, if you make the best, worksheet, or fill out the template in a perfect way, but it doesn't reflect your contextual problem or doesn't solve anything, it's not like any use of for me or anyone, right? So the idea is to take like the ownership of your own learning, and then use all these feedback and communication channels to make sure that you get that support from the community that we are trying to create, right? And then you will sort of do the same thing every 2 weeks for each module. So then imagine when you go through this journey, you will have all these templates and sort of frameworks and a bunch of sort of like a whole portfolio of artifacts that have been reviewed by so many people to help you get to that problem or to get to the solution of the problem, right? So once you are done, when you're done with the 7 modules, that last presentation will have all those elements reflected for you to share with the community, and tell us what you learned, and how you engage and how you implemented. And that would be the end of it. So there is learning built in, and there is assessment built in for each module, and there's a lot of feedback loops built in as well. So there's another question on like, can I choose a problem based on literature gap? So when you go to the problem, when module 2 is deals with that, like what are the ways of like identify problem? Literature can give you a sort of like a global view of what that problem is. For example, uh, numeracy is a problem, or primary level reading is a problem, or attendance is a problem, right? We know they exist in the literature in different places, but the intent of this course is you go to the global sort of like knowledge bank and see what the problem is, sort of get your head around what that looks like, but then investigate it in your context. And that is where the engagement with the stakeholders, and user segmentation and all those things will help you sort of get to the nitty gritty of, okay, this is the problem we talk about that the region has. Which part of it affects the place where I work or the people that I engage with? And then get talking to them, getting their feedback on it, and realizing that how does this problem that the literature talk about affect my context and my user base, or my stakeholders, whichever word you want to use. So that is where it like kind of goes back to. So using the literature to inform is great, but we would really highly encourage you to actually go out and talk to people. And how to do it is going to be this course about that. How do you actually go out and sort of gather some feedback around, you sort of do some empathy mapping and user journey mapping and see what are the pain points that people are experiencing while they're dealing with that situation. And then how do you get to sort of isolate that problem and understand that problem well, and then try to look for the solution. So there's a question around, is there a library of resources and tools? And this LMS is basically the library, right? We are trying to make it more accessible, because if you just Google design thinking, you will find all of these ideas. But the reason this course is significant is it actually breaks it down into more bit-sized chunks that you can actually take and apply for 'em. So every module, if you look at it, has content. So, oh, sorry. So it has content, right? It has knowledge text for you to review, like, give you some feedback on, like, what is your learning. It has templates. It has examples, like solved examples of the problem. So anything that we have given, we are also like sharing examples on how to solve this, or what are we expecting, sort of, right? Like, how would you go about it? So that will also give you that guidance. And then there's a peer review place where you can get sort of feedback, and that is also a resource for you, because you wouldn't never get people to review your work, because like that, because either the people around you won't understand the topic or not engaging with the topic, or it is sort of disjointed, right? Not everybody is on the same page, but sort of bringing you all together in this course is giving you a shared vocabulary. And then once you all speak that vocabulary, then it's easy for each other to like talk and understand and support each other. So this LMS is basically that resource that we are making. And there are a lot of built-in links to other resources that are going out of the LMS. And also, if something is, if you feel like you need more, you can always go out and see. So you can Google that concept and see like what else comes out that might be useful. We are very happy and open to that as well. And if something you find that you found is useful and is not in the course, please feel free to share it in the forums and with us, and give your feedback, and we would incorporate that in the course, because this is our effort to put it out there to all of you, and this is also a test for us to make this resource better over time. So you give your feedback and make it to a certain point, and then we would take it from there and improve upon it, and the next batch will even make it better. So it's like a continuous effort for we are actually trying to use the design thinking process on this course for us to like the way we designed it as well. So there is that part. So there's a last question. We are at time that I'll answer, and again, I will put the support email. So feel free to reach out to us if there's more questions around that. And also, you have the forum. Frequently asked questions is a great place to ask questions post this session. And I would say start there. And if there's a question that you don't want to like publicly put out there, and it's like a more of like a personal uh, request around content or feedback or whatever, you can send it to support. Not feedback on the content though, because that would be addressed in the online session. But if you have a question around understanding, or you can't find a resource, or there is some accessibility issue with the content, so you can ask there. And if there's a technology question, then tech support at techfellowship.org would be there. So the last question that I have is, how are learning circuits coordinated? So we will, once we are, done with having everyone, sort of finish the survey, we have that information, we will go through it, and then based on your location and your problem you're dealing in, like there are a bunch of factors that we are going to look at to make sure there is some compatibility among the people. We will make those decisions around which people will be in those learning circles. And once we have that list ready, we will reach out to each learning circle with their members. So you will receive an email saying, you are like learning, let's say learning circle one, or however we will name it. We are still looking at what would be the best way to name those circles. And then you will have the other people's emails in there, and we will, have instructions on, this is the learning circle, for this area. You all are, welcome to join it. And then you can coordinate there. Within that, there will be instruction on how to coordinate. What are the sort of tools, digital tools that are available to you that you can use. You can use any of those, multiple of those, or one of those, whichever is your choice. And then there will be activities that we will give some prompts there that will help you sort of organize that learning circle and like think around the content. So every module have a learning circle sort of prompts that we will post on the learning circle um, forum on the LMS. And then once you gather together, in any platform or physically, depending on your choice, you can just open that forum, look at that those reflective prompts, and then work collaboratively on whatever you choose to work on. And then that learning circle will continue with you for the rest of the course. And there is possibility some people might drop off, and some people might be very stay together. It depends on, so that will be a self-organized peer sort of support group for all of you. So the engagement and all of the things are sort of like self-guided. So you will sort of be in charge of that learning circle. And you can always reach out, and if more people drop out, we can merge circles together or whatever. That will be handled case to case, but that would be the general sort of um, structure of a learning circle. So with that, welcome again, and we are really, really excited for all of you to join this course, and feel free to reach out to us, and I will most probably see you all in the first office hours.